Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. Kogakab. So today I'm going to read from Khandhavimutti, Samangidhamma by Ajahn Mun, translated by Ajahn Pannavaddho. There's a short introduction piece from Ajahn Pannavaddho. While Venerable Ajahn Mun was staying in Wat Sapatumwan in Bangkok in the year 1930 approximately, he composed the booklet Khandavimutti and Samangidhamma. This booklet is written in Thai in a semi-poetical form, and it displays the teachings of the Buddha in an unusual but refreshing way. Both at the beginning and at the end, the author points out that this is a teaching by way of wisdom. There is little about samadhi or jhana in this booklet, and it may rightly be called a wisdom teaching. I have translated an English version with many corrections and rethinks, and I believe that this translation follows the intended meaning of the author. I have made no attempt to follow the poetical manner of the original text, for I don't claim to have any special ability as a poet. So I have tried to present the meaning that the author intended in a prose form, but I'm afraid that I may, in due course, see more hidden and deeper meanings in this text. I have heard that there are some people who dispute that this was written by Ãcariya Mun, the well-known and great teacher. They say that there was another Ãcariya Mun in the same Wat at the same time. It is possible that this may be true, but the text which was written at that time by hand was quite clearly signed with the name Prabhadato Mun, Wat Sapatumwan, the author. It seems hardly likely that two bhikkhus should have this unusual name at the same place and time. Bhikkhu Vanyavado, Wat Pabantad, May 2004. Khandavimutti and Samangidhamma. Namatu Sugatasa Panja Dhammakandani. I humbly bow down and raise my hands in praise of the Venerable Sugata, the Supreme Teacher, the Sakyamuni, the Supremely Self-Enlightened Lord Buddha, and of the Venerable 9 Navalokutara Dhammas and the Arya Sangha Sawaka. Here I will speak of the Dhammakandas in brief by way of Satipanya. There was once a man who loved himself and whose thoughts were fearful of suffering. Wanting happiness and freedom from fear and danger, he wandered about. He said that wherever Sukha is, there I want to go. But he wandered about for a long time. His character was such that he loved himself and was very afraid of death, and he truly wanted to get free from old age and death. One day he came to know the truth and abandoned samudaya, the cause of suffering, and all the many sankharas. He then came to a cave of joy, where Sukha did not disappear, and the cave was like unto his physical body. He gazed all around this cave with joy. Dukkha collapsed, and he was completely at ease. He knew in himself that his former fear had diminished, and he looked back and forth as though there was a hill in front of him. Should he go and tell his former friends all about it? He feared that they would reckon he was mad. To put up with living alone and finding out about the way of calm, which means stopping the process of thinking and not associating with others, this is better than wandering about in an unseemly, boastful manner. For one would soon receive flattery and blame, which would just create disturbance and trouble. There was another good man, afraid of death and full of apprehension, who came searching, and he spoke frankly and made one feel sympathy for him. He asked, saying, You have done a lot of striving and put forward much effort. And all this time have you seen the true Dhamma, which the heart longs for, or not? A. How does he know my mind? That good man wanted to stay with him as his follower, so he said, good, good. Footnote, this would seem to refer to the first man above. I give you my blessing, and I will show you the way to a mountain cave of happiness where there is no dukkha. In other words, kaya gatasati bhavana. Enjoy it and admire it to cool your heart, and it will cure all your troubles and turbulence. It is the path of the Arya Wangsa. But whether you go along it or not, I'm not going to force you, nor speak deceptively in fun, for what I say will be the truth. Then he gave him some riddles to answer, and the first riddle was, what is rawang? Footnote, not a Thai word. In Cambodian it means to whirl around. He gave the answer, runs fast, which means that the nature of vijnana, consciousness, is to be quick, going in a line following a train of thought. Sanya, memory, acts immediately without doubt or hesitation, and the heart which dwells inside runs back and forth. Sanya, footnote, memory in all its functions, which is strongly attached to external things, deceives the citta, making it restless and distracted, wandering afar searching. It deceives one that those things are true when in fact they are like magical conjuring tricks. Question 2. Who gets totally free from all 5 khandhas? Answer. The heart, of course. It gets free and dwells alone, not being caught up, attached, or involved in anything, and having done away with the poison of possessive attachment. It is finished with delusion and dwells one and alone. Then the deceits of sanya can no longer cause delusion. Question 3. In that which is called death, who are they that die, and where? Answer. The sankharas are the ones that die, destroying the results of kama. Question 4. What is it that makes one go on revolving in the round of samsara? Answer. The tricks of sanya lead one to go on whirling about, trusting sanya and wrongly thinking gladly of going from this realm of existence to another realm, and so going round and round. The citta being completely forgotten and memory of it being shut out entirely, so that even by striving to find Dhamma, one doesn't see it. Question 5. Who defines and who determines what are Dhammas? Answer. The heart defines and the heart determines them by going to the Lord, their chief, sanya, and no other. For it thinks that this is good, grasps evil, and forces one to be attached to love and hate. Question 6. Eat once, then no more searching to eat? Answer. This is the end of wanting to look and know, and there is no further concern to see what the future holds, for what was disorderly has been cured. The heart then sits unmoving on its throne, and all longing has been dispersed. Question 7. The 4-sided pond brimful of water? Answer. Dhamma is the end of desires coming from doubt, clean and free from blemish, and there is no fear or danger. In this, sanya is extracted and sankhara khandha causes no trouble, so the heart is full and overflowing without any lack. All is quiet and still in the citta, and there are no doleful thoughts. This is something one should admire and be glad about at all times. For even if one has been in contact with the 10,000 heavens, it is not the equal of knowing the truth, discarding the sankharas and the ending of desire, which are really valuable and important. Then memory remains just memory, without getting in the way, and the heart is not obsessed with anything. Its struggles having come to an end. It is as if one were looking at the image of one's face in a mirror, but without any thought associated with sanya, because sanya is the same kind of thing as that image. Don't be seduced by the attractions of the world, sankhara things, for the heart moves and takes hold of the heart that is not free. It moves enough for one to know for sure that this has happened because of the change that takes place. This heart is the impermanence of the heart, and it must know the 5 khandhas and their different types when the chitta changes. Before I understood this, I was deluded, believing that sanya was the heart and that there was an inside and an outside. Now my heart is the chief, and it doesn't expect any support from one or any sanya, for it is not possessive. In all things, whether they arise or cease, I have no need to be possessive nor to guard against the group called sanya. It is like going up to the top of a very high mountain and looking at the world below and seeing all living beings. A note of explanation. Being extremely high and seeing one's own story from the beginning right up to the present is the whole path, magga, like a stairway. Footnote. This section above was written in the original text. Whether by way of changing it or deleting it is uncertain. It is also rather difficult to decipher what has been written. Question 8. Does the water rise and fall in accordance with that state of truth, sajjanga? Answer. One cannot rectify the changes that take place in the sankharas. In the normal way, kama, which has been made, has no intentional malice against anyone. But trying to push it away or hold on to it is stupid and a form of evil in the chitta. One must not think of going against the normal nature of things, sabhava, which are in themselves true. If good and evil, which arise in various circumstances, have been discarded from oneself and are not entangled with one's sankharas, one is cool and peaceful. But when one knows the truth, one is bound to throw out the sankharas, which are always changing about. For having seen them and become wearied of them, one can let go of them easily, and there is no need to force this. Then the natural state is a peaceful heart which no longer accepts their reality. The 5 duties, are they complete? Answer. The khandhas are divided up into 5 sense bases of the sankharas, and each group has its duty, which is its business, and it cannot take on any other work, being fully loaded already. They cannot accept even the highest blessings and praise which makes for happiness, nor blame of the worst kind in which one loses everything. Altogether they accord with their true nature, with their true natural state, and in all 8 kinds. Footnote. 8 kinds refers to the 8 lokadhammas: gain, loss, honor, dishonor, happiness, misery, praise, blame. Altogether, they accord with their natural states, and in all 8 kinds, the heart does not turn and become involved with them, because rupakhandhas cannot avoid old age and illness. But the namakhandhas get no rest, like an engine, because they receive the results of the karma that has been done. Good things make them glad and gain heart. Bad things disturb and agitate the heart and create incessant thought, like a fire burning in the chitta, which is tarnished and dull. Thoughts arise of themselves of love and anger, but who's to blame? Wanting never to grow old or die, but can anyone do this? Such things are just not possible, and all one has are vain wishes, like not wanting to let the chitta wander about getting to know things, but wanting it to remain as one, in the hope of making a refuge of impassivity. But the chitta is by nature changeable and never fixed and unmoving, although sanya can sometimes remain for a while. If one can know into, footnote, ruatau, to penetrate and know, to be up to or onto, as in, quote, I knew what he was up to. If one can know into the normal state of all 5 khandhas, the heart will be bright and clean and free from all blemish. This is the end of the story. So if one can know in this way, it is very good, because one sees truly and draws away free, which is the end of the way. Then one doesn't oppose what is natural, and one accords with the truth, and whether one is rich or poor, all things and possessions, both external or internal, and good or evil, must cease, fade away, and be forgotten. One cannot grasp anything in the way the heart intends, for the heart is the instability of the heart, and it moves restlessly. But one can watch it and catch on to it and know it, and this brings great contentment. The small obscures the large, and knowing does not penetrate. In this way, the khandhas totally obscure Dhamma. Looking at the khandhas in dullness, one doesn't see Dhamma for the dust. Footnote. As the Lord Buddha said, there are few who have little dust in their eyes to see Dhamma. As for Dhamma being greater than the khandhas, that can't be seen. Question 10. Have not, not have. What is that? Answer. Footnote. From here on, the questioner and the questioned change places. The pupil now asks the questions and the teacher answers. Answer. Here I am stuck and I cannot think of any way to answer. Please point out the meaning of it to me clearly and the answer of this riddle. The answer. Wherever there is birth or coming into being, there is that which has existence in various ways in accordance with laws of cause and effect. Then it ceases and has not. Thus it is obvious that animals and people accord with the first part of the question, have, not have. The latter part of the question, not have, is Dhamma, which is deep and profound, and whoever gets there has reached the goal. This has not sankharas and has Dhamma, which is firm and stable. There, that's it. The single Dhamma, true solitude. Dhamma, which is the one, unchanging, beyond birth in all realms, the supreme calm. Then, if there is any emotional disturbance of the heart, it's not accepted and is thrown out, quenched, quiet, still and clear to the heart. The heart then withdraws from all addiction and is cured of all passion, and all wanting is completely uprooted, dispersing all doubt. As for being entangled with the 5 khandhas, this dies away and draws to a close, and that which had made one whirl about in the 3 realms of the universe is broken and destroyed. Then even the greatest desires are thrown out and fall away. Love ceases and is completely cured, ending the poison of possessiveness, and all troubles are cured and cease as the heart would wish. Questioner. Please point out other different ways of the heart which are samudaya, the cause of suffering of the citta, which are against Dhamma. Samudaya, the cause of suffering, is very extensive, but bringing it down to its essentials, it is love that forces the heart to long for the khandhas. If Dhamma had stayed eternally with the citta, separate and apart, samudaya, the cause of suffering, could never have been. You must keep this in mind concerning the way of the citta, and there is no need to go whirling around incessantly thinking until you go mad. For in whoever the Dhamma does not dwell unshakably and gladly attached, his heart falls into samudaya, the cause of suffering, longing for a body. To put it briefly, dukkha and Dhamma are constantly in the citta. Take this in and work on it until you have sought out and experienced the truth of it for yourself. Then you will be entirely cool and peaceful, and however much sukha or dukkha you have, you will not be afraid. Doleful things, which mean samudaya, the cause of suffering, will steadily diminish and will go towards what is good. If you get the meaning, footnote, rutao, the same as earlier, if you get the meaning of this, you will be close to curing your troubles. enough for you to get some rest and respite to search out and find the path of escape. The chitta which knows Dhamma forgets the chitta which is attached to dust, and the heart always knows the Dhamma which is sukha, and the khandhas which are truly dukkha. Dhamma is bound to be Dhamma, and the khandhas are bound to be the khandhas. That's all. And what is called cool peace, the dispersal of troubles, means the withdrawal of the chitta from the wrong way to that which it is firmly attached. But as for the sankhara khandhas, they are void of sukha and are truly dukkha, because they are bound to grow old, be sick, and die one day inevitably. If the chitta knows the supreme Dhamma, the chitta withdraws from wrong things which cause depression and harm, bad things which are severe and serious faults of the heart. Seeing Dhamma displayed clearly extracts all of these things which are bad and which poison the heart. Then the chitta sees Dhamma in abundance, which is free from fault. When one meets the Dhamma, which strips off all agents of lust, one has sati, one is not involved. One's love for the khandhas is destroyed, and all pleasure in them ends. This is the end of all dust, and the end of all anxiety and concern. So then, if one wants to think there's no reason why one shouldn't do so according to one's natural inclinations. Questioner: when one doesn't prevent returning, one doesn't listen, and turbulence and trouble are free to go on, should one be able to know that evil has arisen? Because in truth it has. Answer: evil can arise because of ignorance. If one can close the door against stupidity, it will be very peaceful, and evil of all kinds will disappear. One can't put up with it, so throw it out. The khandhas in all things incline to dukkha and never to sukha. Formerly I was dull and stupid, as though I had gone into a dark cave. Wanting to see Dhamma took hold of my heart, but without any real purpose. I took hold of memory, assuming that it was the heart, until I became addicted and obsessed in admiring memory and fondling it. I did it for a long time, and this false use of memory blinded me and wouldn't let me see. So I went astray, playing with the 5 khandhas. It was pitiable, raising myself up to boast that I was free. I went about bullying and criticizing others who were my friends, which was quite useless. Going around looking at the faults of others is what arose in my heart, like making a fire to burn myself, which was bound to make me dull and dirty. For whoever is right or wrong and good or evil is so for themselves alone. But as for one's own heart, one must try to be guarded and set up carefulness. Don't let evil things come and whirl around in you. You should be endowed with merit and right action, which brings contentment. Then, if one sees others do evil things, oneself remains good. It is the defilements, ragi, which seize the khandhas with firm intention, and having grasped them, one is bound to be really troubled because of old age and death. Repeatedly the evil kilesas, hot and steamy, gather and enter, stirring up trouble, full of love and anger, obviously blameworthy things, together with strong fear, a heavy heart, and tormenting thoughts. Time after time, the 5 objects, footnote, probably refers to the 5 sense objects, of desire come enticingly, making displays of all kinds of things to show their power, because one has grasped the 5 khandhas as one's own. Then it is hardly possible for one to get free from dukkha and danger. If you already know your own faults, then don't waste time. Look at the characteristics of the sankharas, which are always impermanent, and get used to this. You will then probably come to admire the Dhamma that is the single and solitary chitta. That impermanence refers to the heart which is disturbed by memory. When seen, Keep on looking at it and stay with it as it changes. Then as soon as all external objects, aramana, die away completely, Dhamma appears, and as soon as Dhamma is seen, the disturbance of the chitta disappears. That chitta is not attached to anything else, and this truth is the end of the door. Footnote. Door probably refers to shutting the door at the start of this question. Whether one knows the method of the heart in this way or not, if one penetrates and knows, footnote, referring again to Rutao, if one penetrates and knows impermanence, the first free chitta arises. This is probably the original chitta, which is truly unchanging, and knowing the original chitta frees one from all falsehood without doubt. But if one goes outward at the end of that chitta, it is immediately wrong. What is called darkness is because of the chitta thinking possessively of good, and this possessive chitta is at the end of the chitta which thinks outwardly. The first chitta is good when Dhamma appears and doubt disappears. Then there is the seeing of Dhamma, which is excellent and above all worlds. As for one's previous thinking, searching, and whirling around seeking, it all stops, stripped bare, and one has reached the end. But one still has dukkha in that one must lie down and sleep and eat food and do whatever is necessary. But the heart is tamed and close to the original chitta, and in thinking it does not go searching. It is natural for the chitta that it must think, but as soon as it feels the first free chitta in distress, it withdraws into silence and stillness away from that disturbance which is causing trouble. It is also normal for the sankharas to arise, but they also disappear in a similar way. In fact, all such things steadily diminish until none of them are left. Beware of the heart when memory becomes subtle, for it's likely to force the chitta to be attached to passivity. The heart is the impermanence of the heart. Look at this, and see it all the time until you get used to it. When you reach the culmination of it, if you know in yourself the music of the heart, which is just like magical tricks that the Lord called vipassānuppakilesa, footnote, distracting phenomena which interfere with insight, vipassana. Transformations of state which are false even though they appear to be true. Knowing arises by itself and it is given the name seeing. But it's not like hearing and understanding at the level of asking questions and thinking over, pondering and analyzing rupanama are also not seeing for oneself. Knowing spontaneously arises in oneself, but it's not the music of thinking which knows the original chitta, that first chitta free of torment. The original chitta knows in itself for certain that the nature of the sankharas is that of incessant change. In this there is no process or manner which goes to look at or know anything, nor is it knowing for the purpose of making a claim. The chitta probably knows the chitta itself because of the restless fire. Footnote. The restless fire probably refers to the defilements, kilesas. The chitta probably knows the chitta itself because of the restless fire, and the chitta knows the restless change, and the chitta is attached to it and cannot get free of it, for in truth they are one and the same thing. This chitta has dual characteristics which are known as sanya, leading it into attachment. That impermanence is oneself fixing on another, then the heart knows its own deterioration and freedom is obscured. The heart then becomes insipid and dry, and it loses the taste of being free from doubt. Its search into these things which are about one, both externally and internally, is broken, and all one's aspirations wither and die away. Then anger and love and things which make the heart heavy go forth. But the desires of the heart can stop, thereby curing the trouble and torment, and freeing all heaviness of heart and complaints. Like rain sprinkling over it, The heart is refreshed from the exhaustion of the irritable heart. The heart is cool because it doesn't have to go about with concern for others. Knowing the first chitta in the present frees one from torment. All good and evil are then of no great concern, and they must die away as well as all defilements. Live quietly. The first chitta is not concerned about the affairs of the chitta, having ended all thought and concern. There is no need to fuss and be busy, nor to be careful. Just lie down or sit quiet and free and dwell in the original chitta. Questioner. You have pointed out the path, Magga, for me to hear, showing the principle sharp and clearly. You are skilled in displaying points with a very broad scope and very brightly. But there is still another aspect of the heart which is not freed from samudaya, the cause of suffering. It would be good if you please point it out in a special way. Answer. Samudaya, the cause of suffering, is the longing of love. And if this obsession is very strong, it creates births anew, which one has no desire to stop and escape from. In the lower levels, this means that the 5 sensual desires are defiled. In the higher levels, the Lord pointed to the longing for jhana as being samudaya. If then one takes up and acts on the tendencies that are in one's chitta, it will be the story of obsessive thinking in sankhara khandha, being obsessed in everything in the same way as it has been for ages. Then one turns to virtue to develop the chitta, but in the wrong way, so that it often breaks up into wild and distracted thought. Then before long one becomes obsessed in bad ways without realizing that they are shameful. Those things that one emotionally likes, one admires and becomes obsessed with them. Obsessed until one forgets oneself with no fear of danger. Obsessed in looking at the faults of others full of evil, but one's own faults one doesn't see. Why so? However many faults other people have, they don't make oneself fall into hell at all. But one's own faults, which are sorry and doleful, don't need to be many to bring back vipaka, the results of kama, for one to fall into the greatest hell. Try to see your own faults all the time so as not to make your heart used to giving up those faults. This will probably make you admire sukha, which is free from dukkha and danger. When you see your own faults clearly, you must hurry to cut them off and get rid of them, for it's no use dawdling and thinking about getting rid of them without acting. In regard to always wanting good without ceasing, this is the basis of samudaya, the cause of suffering. It is a great fault, and the fear of not being good is very strong. Good and not good are strong poisons in the chitta. It's like taking the wrong remedy when one has a fever. The disease is made much worse by such things which are harmful. Dhamma doesn't become clear because of wanting good. This is fundamental. If the desire for good is strong, it is bound to drag the chitta about, making it think and wander about in turbulent ways until the heart deteriorates and everything becomes increasingly doleful. This great fault makes one go further and further away from the Dhamma which is true. Questioner. When you point out samudaya, the cause of suffering, here, my heart is afraid, and when I hear the underlying essence, it tends to be confusing and very involved. But when you point out magga, the path, it goes to my heart. I can't hold any more and throw the rest out and withdraw into stillness in the calm heart. That's the end of it. This is called Khandhavimutti, Samangidhamma, which is always present. It neither goes or comes and is a natural state, sabhava Dhamma, which is true and singular, and neither moves about restlessly to keep going, nor loses its substance and meaning. This is the end of the matter. That's all. Whether this is right or wrong, you must use wisdom to think and look and know. Pra Buddhadatta Mun, Wat Sapatumwan, the author.
Namamo Varadavakataya Sadhu Khandhavimutti say.
Sadhu, 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 anumodam.
I have a comment that I'm almost sure that that's written as a Mawlam song, because Ajahn Mun was a Mawlam singer before he ordained, and also the format of Q&A, question and answer with two people going back and forth, that's like a standard Mawlam thing. So I would think that like in the Thai language it could be actually sung. That I suspect that may have been his intention. Mawlam means dance doctor, and it's super famous in the Northeast. They have these big concerts on the Thai New Year, and it's they'll sing all night. Like it'll just be constant singing all night. But it's usually like a man and woman going back and forth, like arguing. But then sometimes it can have Dhamma, but I think Ajahn Mun, he took it and made it into Dhamma. So probably just, who knows what his intention could have been, you know, maybe for the future generations to like, maybe he thought people like to listen to music, so he'd sort of get it in there or something for them, I don't know.
I had a question about the title. Khandhavimutti would be translated as like liberation from the khandhas, but the second part was Samangīdhamma. What would that translate?
What would Samaṅgīdhamma be translated as? Do you know, Tom Pesalo?
No. Dhamma I'm pretty good on. Samangi, I'm not quite sure.
Possessed of.
Possessed of? Okay, that sounds...
Wait, what? Like that have not have? Like you've written, like you're free from khandhas, but you have Dhamma.
Not having the khandhas, but having the Dhamma, maybe.
Is that the only thing Ajahn Mun ever wrote? I think I've heard that.
Ajahn Sek ก็รู้ไหมอันหลวงปู่มั่นเขียน Khandavimutti Samangidhamma เขียนอะไรอีกไหมครับ
ผมก็ได้อ่านจำไม่ได้
อ๋อครับ Probably, I don't know.
I've heard it's actually the one thing. I just wanted to check, but yeah, I've heard it's the
Yeah.
one thing he ever left
Yeah.
behind writing.
Yeah, certainly it's the only
think
thing
so.
that like I've ever heard of or come across. And besides that, there's a few translations by Ajahn Jeff of talks, like from Ajahn Mun, but they've, what's that book called?
Heart released.
Yeah, A Heart Released. And there's a few in there, but those are a bit shaky, Ajahn Jeff says in the introduction, because of, I guess, like how they came down, sort of in an oral way, oral tradition. So this, I feel like, is quite remarkable in that, you know, from Ajahn Mun's hand, like, and as far as I know, the only thing.
Ajahn, how do you translate sanya? Is it memory and perception?
Sanya, sometimes like Lumpur Pannavaddho would translate it as memory, but I don't know if it's more like recognition is I think probably one of the most accurate translations.
There's a great footnote, if anybody's curious, because that comes up in the Patipada, there's a great footnote from Ajahn Pannavaddho speaking about why he translates it as memory, if anyone's curious.
I was interested, he kept using the word sukha to describe sort of the piece of dharma it felt. But I so often heard sukha and dukkha used just in terms of the worldly winds and that liberation is beyond the two. But it seemed like his saying that it was a cave with just sukha in it, like Aggregates was, I think he was saying it was equivalent to liberation. So that was just, I wondered about any comments on that. I've never heard sukha used like that usually in our tradition.
It's like in the suttas, when liberation is above sukha and dukkha, but then the Buddha says, but liberation is reckoned as one type of sukha. I think that's probably what he's referring to.
I feel like also there's interesting things that come up, especially in the writing of Ajahn Mun and also in some of the writings of Ajahn Mahabua, that caused a bit of a bit of drama in Thailand at times, where he talks about like the Buddha coming to see Ajahn Mun, or various past Buddhas, or he talks about the state of Nibbana in a different way than it's usually understood. I feel like that's quite interesting that this comes up from time to time in their writings, that they, for myself, I appreciate it in that, and even for those of us who are not realized, we can still become attached to, well, this is the truth, this is the way Nibbana is, or this is how it works when you're a Buddha, and whether it is or is not, like, we really don't know. So I appreciate it in that it sort of throws us back into the not knowing around those things.
It's also worth noting that the Buddha was criticized in a similar way on the topic of sukha, where sort of somebody's questioning him on these sort of refined levels of sukha, and the Buddha names equanimity, the state of upekkha, as a higher state than of sukha. And the person returns and says, wait. Upekkha is sukha? And the Buddha says something like, anything that comes under like feeling good or happiness or something like that, I call sukha. So it seems that like it can be it's even in the time of the Buddha, the word was used with some poetic license, I think.
Yeah, it's like upekkha. He says upekkha is reckoned as one type of happiness.
Yeah, I feel like it brings up a very valuable point about, like different translations. We can get really caught up in like how you translate dukkha, and then all sorts of arguments around that, and just remembering that they're just like shots in the dark. I mean, not completely in the dark, but they're just like attempts at describing something, and they themselves are not the truth, not the ultimate truth.
Like seeing it as a Mawlam song, as you were reading it, I could almost imagine the Mawlam music that would go with it. Because it's so much, I listen to so much Mawlam at Pujamgam, they're playing it every day.
Yeah.
I started to understand it, and some of it, the lyrics are very, very profound sometimes. And
one thing that might be worth mentioning in terms of Mawlam, to give people a sense of what that is exactly, I think probably it might come closest to like hip hop, like freestyling. Not in the way it sounds, because it sounds entirely different. But in terms of my understanding, it was spontaneous, like freestyling.
It's like Lao rap.
But not just rap, but like, because rap can be written down, but like freestyling, like created, improvised in the moment. And Ajahn Mun was apparently like very, very good before he ordained. There's
a story you could almost say it's like a rap off.
Like a battle.
Where in the beginning of the Ajahn Mun biography, he's with his friend Upali, who also ordained, and they're at a Malam, like a competition, and layman Mun at that time, he's like 21 or something, and he gets up on stage and he's having this like rap off with this lady, and like his friend Upali is like trying to pull him off the stage because he's losing. He pulls him off the stage and then he said, "What are you doing? I was winning. I was going to demolish her." And that's written in the very beginning of the biography, Ajahn Mahabua's account of that.
I also find it interesting that the whole conversation takes place within the cave of Gayagatasati. Like he establishes that the whole context of this huge conversation around, Sanya and everything is just taking place, you know, within the cave of Gayagatasati. And I've always thought that was very unique and, you know, special about our tradition is like its focus on body contemplation and how like the whole of the path, including all these like ways of reflecting on the khandhas and thinking about Sanya, all can take place within the context of the first Satipatthana. And and that this whole, the setting for this whole, you know, wrap off, so to speak, would be, you know, within the cave of Gayagatasati.
Or the stage.